The Ace Man's back in Boston at the Wilbur Theater on Thursday, November 6th. Then Friday, November 7th in Buffalo, New York at Electric City. On Saturday, he's down in Duluth, Georgia, appearing with Megyn Kelly at Gas South Arena. Get tickets for these shows and more at adamcarolla.com.
Patrick Byrne is here. Patrick is the author, also has a video series out as well. The book, Danger Close, it's available now, and we'll get into the Russian collusion and delusion and all that kind of stuff. Also, people may know you from Overstock.com. And let's just start at the start, then we'll make our way up to where we are now, Patrick.
It sounds like a plan.
Overstock.
Overstock.
That's you?
Tis I.
That is you. But,
guilty as charged.
But not anymore.
Left it. Started it, launched it in 99, left it on my 20th anniversary.
So Overstock.com, which is huge, only started in 99.
Correct.
Because I feel like in 99 and in like 2000, I was seeing it everywhere. So you guys like hit the ground running, right?
We hit the ground running. We had we got famous because it was just as the dot-coms all began crashing. Mm-hmm. And we discovered that the business we had built to liquidate excess inventory worked really well on bankruptcies. So we liquidated about 20 dot-coms that went bankrupt. And that's actually what got us sort of in the press and got us famous. Liquidating other bankrupt .coms.
Right. And your education is Dartmouth and Stanford and King's College and Cambridge and lots of bona fides in the education in terms of your background. But what were you emphasizing? What was your major? What were you studying?
Well, I did both Western philosophy and Asian studies. I speak Chinese. I spoke pretty good Thai at one point. I was a student over in China, 83, 84 for a year. But on Western philosophy, I was focusing on logic and computation theory until, surprisingly enough, I was doing my doctorate at Stanford, and I ran into what I would call early woke, and I reacted so aggressively. I was in such shock that I was meeting people that believed the things that were being espoused. This is late 80s. That it really, over a couple years, reoriented my whole graduate studies to economics and political philosophy to counter the woke people I was meeting, to try to be able to explain to them how they were wrong on every dimension one could imagine. So it ended up being a reaction against the woke people I was meeting in the Bay Area in the late 80s.
So like early iterations of woke, because I guess we give things different names, you know. So climate change used to be called ecology. Basically, that's what we called...
or environmentalism later.
Yeah. But things started as something and morphed into something else. But I had a hippie mom, so I got early woke stuff. Now, no one called it woke. It was stuff you learn from watching Billy Jack or Roots or something like that. But
well, that's okay. And that's just left. That stuff's okay. But woke is something that goes much beyond just taking left... sort of normal leftist or so-called liberal positions, and really is antagonistic towards and corrosive of our foundational principles.
Well, what happens is their ideas sound okay and sort of harmless, and then they implement them, and then people get killed because they implement really bad ideas. So my mom would have been one of these... You know, what's wrong with decriminalizing everything or giving clean needles to heroin users or providing them with heroin, you know, like things that sound okay. And they always pick out some small city in Europe where it works because they don't have our population, they have their population, and it kind of works. And then they quote how it works over there. But later on, when we tried in San Francisco, it ends up with a bunch of dead junkies and a tourist who got stabbed.
Right.
So their woke ideas start off as sort of compassion meets a kind of crunchy hippiness, and then eventually become policy, and then destruction.
And the great economist that was a big influence on me, there were two. One was Milton Friedman, one was Thomas Sowell. Do you know Sowell? Ever talk about him?
I love Thomas Sowell because they come up with every year Time comes out with 100 most influential African Americans or whatever. And he never makes any list ever.
And he's really on the list of the most important intellectuals of the last century.
Right, but will not be recognized by any of the mainstream
or
media.
the African American Museum in D.C. Won't even recognize him or Clarence Thomas.
That's the awesome part of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Thomas Sowell makes this point that often such people are really just sanctimonious, and they want to be looked at and judged on how much they care, and so forth. So they espouse policies that let them sound and look that way.
Yes.
And the fact that their policies either don't work or actually do damage to their intended beneficiaries doesn't seem to matter to them at all, because they really aren't about them at all. They're about.
Yeah, I mean, it is a real narcissism that we're really essentially talking about here. I mean, people go, what is it? And it's like, ultimately, it's a narcissism.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't really matter whether it's effective or not. It's just, famously, Barack Obama, somebody pointed out to him that when you raise the corporate income tax or the corporate tax rate, that you'll get less revenue. And when you lower it, you get more revenue to the federal government.
He said it doesn't matter because it's about some statement being made.
He said he didn't like the optics of it. He didn't like the optics of lowering corporate taxes. And so that's a fool, but it's also a guy who's more worried about the optics than the actual outcome.
Yeah, it's a guy who's never made a payroll, never run an ice cream shop, doesn't know the first thing about how the world actually works.
Right.
He wants to prance around. Such people, I'm around them sometimes, they're more concerned about how they're going to look sipping Chardonnay and eating brie at a San Francisco cocktail party than the actual effect. It's a damn imposition worrying about the actual people that they pretend to be worrying for.
Yes, and they don't care and they don't believe. And so the reason they don't believe is they don't send their kids to public schools, even though they never stop talking about how great public schools are, how necessary public schools. They never live in the community they most tout or they're talking about, they're concerned about. They, care. They're into global warming, but they fly private.
That's right.
They don't.
They never eat
care.
their own cooking. They never eat their own cooking.
They don't, and Gavin Newsom talks about the dangers of COVID and shuts down outdoor dining, and then goes to the French Laundry and has dinner, and then he goes to SoFi Stadium and takes pictures with Magic Johnson without a mask. So my point is he doesn't believe it, and I tell people this all the time. It's not like they go, oh, he's two-faced or he's lying or he's a hypocrite. I go, no, he doesn't believe it. He believes it. He doesn't believe it because if he was in danger, he wouldn't do it. None of these people would ride a motorcycle without a helmet because they do believe a helmet protects them on a motorcycle, and it does, and they have the data, and they would never get on a motorcycle with that. They would never get on a motorcycle at all, but if they did, they would put the helmet on. When you wave the helmet off, that means you don't believe it works. And when you wave the mask off, that means you don't believe it works. So he never did believe it.
Right.
And most of these people, I don't think, believe it per se.
Well, I don't think what I've learned over time is they're not deep enough to think and see the inconsistencies. They would tell themselves they believe. They're not conscious that they don't believe these things.
Yes.
They just don't explore their own inconsistencies enough to realize they don't really believe these things that they say. It's just, it's really a posturing. They like to go through life posturing.
Right. I forgot. It's written on the screen, but our mayor at the time, Eric Garcetti, took a picture with Magic Johnson, but he explained he held his breath. Now, that could be considered pretty racist to a lot of the African-American community. But he said, I took the mask off, but I held my breath. I took a picture with Magic Johnson. So he doesn't believe it. So my whole point is I don't really think any of these people believe it, but then you get into this weird, murky world of what do they believe versus what do they feel, whether what's good for them. And now it gets really cross-pollinized.
So I can tell you that they believe in tormenting other humans, and we have seen this. The last 5 years, once they thought they had forever power. Once they rigged the 2020 election, they thought they had forever power, and they were never going to face a repercussion. And they took their masks off, and they said what they really believe. And what they really believe is a small elite should make the decisions for all the rest of us on every dimension of life, from where you live in 15-minute cities to what you eat. you will eat the bugs, to all kinds of things. They think the world would be better off if they could just make decisions for all the rest of us.
Yes.
And they love to, there's a lot of these are sort of the kind of puny people who love to torment others. So you see the behavior of the Karens that emerged in society unabashed for the first time. It's like they're just busybodies. They want to, they get off on quoting rules and making other people have to follow.
Yeah, there is a component of it that I wish was less evil and more just sort of misplaced, in good intentions. But you start to realize it's not just wanting what's best and being misguided. There's a sort of punitive side of it with the Karens and the masks and all through. I saw it all through COVID. I was a recipient of a lot of it during COVID. I, however, do not care.
Right.
Because I am in the accuracy game, not the popularity game. These guys are running for election and they're running for school president and class something. And for them, it's a popularity contest. For me, it's an accuracy competition. So I don't care about the numbers, and all I care is about the accuracy. And I don't know why my wiring is that way, but I had everybody attack me during COVID, and I had no thoughts about it.
Me too. Never bothered me in the least. Never troubled me in the least.
Well, you may have F me money, which is better than F you money. And I haven't checked your bank account, but I'm guessing there's F you money. F you money is good. Like F you money is... Here's what FU money is. FU money is some former employee is going to sue you and wants to settle up for $250,000. And then your lawyer goes, I know you didn't do anything wrong, but just cut him the check for $250 because it's going to cost $500 to fight this thing in court. Yeah. And you go, fuck you. That's FU money. F me money is Twitter lying and shutting down dissent and physicians that have alternative views about COVID, and then Elon Musk buying Twitter at twice the going rate and going, fuck it, I got F me money, and now I'm going to open it up. So F you money is good, but F me money, that's the best.
Tasty.
That's the best. You may have F me money.
I had F me money, but I'm actually pretty much gave it all away in the last 4 or 5 years to feeding what I saw as a Bolshevik revolution. In fact, you had a colleague of mine on. I've spent the last 2.5 years out of the country because, as the book says, I was declared domestic extremist #1 during the Biden administration. But I went out of the country and I spent 2.5 years hacking Venezuela. And I had 2 colleagues in that. One, the real leader, and the other being a guy named Gary. And I saw recently Gary, ex-CIA, Alphabet Gary, we call him, was on your show. He and I and our leader, who's a third guy, whose name I'll call Zorro, we actually did that event for the last 3 years together, where we ran all over the world tracking down clues to what was really going on in our election system. And Gary probably opens his mouth a bit too much and may have gotten a bit of his hand slapped for what he said on your show, but he was telling the truth about all that.
This Venezuela stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were in here talking about basically all roads leading to Venezuela and leading to the machines and the voting machines and all the stuff we've been... Well, okay. We have been told in this country for coming on to 10 years that we were insane if we believed Russian collusion or we fought against. There are certain dogmas, there are certain truths. Like, so Russian collusion definitely happened, and then Trump was a cat's paw of Putin. And if you didn't go all in on that scenario, then you were considered sort of fringy, lunatic-y, tinfoil hatty. So there was that one. And then there was, Steele dossier stuff, and then there was COVID stuff that came in, and then there was Hunter Biden's laptop, and there was lab origin, lab leak versus, COVID origin stuff. And there were a few that had to do with, like, George Floyd and some Black Lives Matter stuff, but basic, and then there was the border was secure and you're nuts and all that. But basically, I would say for the conspiracy theorists, we're essentially 10 for 10. This isn't not now moon landings and flat earthers aside, and maybe Sandy Hook deniers aside, because that's a real deep fringe. But I'm saying all it took to get you on the list of sort of the fringe folks is to go, I don't know about January 6th. Yeah. I don't call that an insurrection. And then you got lumped in with everything. But whether it was Jan 6th.
I'm beyond the pale. I take responsibility for Jan 6th. I took out advertisements in D.C. saying I'm responsible for Jan 6th. Have me in. I'm the guy who started the movement about these election machines in the U.S. And so none of that stuff embarrasses me. I was actually there for a bunch of it, and I know we're living through something called a Bezmenov psyop to overthrow the country.
Yeah,
and
so
these are all elements of it.
Right. So let's try to work a hierarchy of this, which is to say, there are the people that are sort of at the top. I mean, you might say Obama, Hillary Clinton are sort of that ilk. Then you sort of move down to, Adam Schiff type guys or guys that are slightly...
They're the soldiers.
Nancy Pelosi's or whatever. And then you get into sort of the sort of useful idiot Anderson Cooper types, news, CNN, those voices. But late night show hosts, guys, yeah, right, guys like CNN, sir. I'm sorry, 60 Minutes, Leslie Stahl, and that. So you get into the useful idiot, you get into the foot soldier, and then you get into this sort of Karen at the Whole Foods in Santa Monica, just boots on the ground, Dumbo on the street, double mask. Got the Prius in the parking lot with the coexist bumper sticker. That now you have sort of real in the trenches Dumbo, but it goes all the way up. And so who's kind of at the top of the pyramid? Is that like an Obama thing?
No, Brennan and Obama were at the top of the pyramid as far as the U.S. goes, but there were people behind them internationally, and they're the same people that you saw, whose hand you saw in the COVID thing, and that's Soros and Klaus Schwab and the WEF. There's really two hands internationally. It's China and the WEF. They both agreed on overthrowing the U.S. and instituting a globalist order. It's just that after the U.S. was overthrown, which was the fake election of 2020, they fought. China's wanted the international order to be centered on Beijing, and the globalists want it centered in Central Europe. But that's their basic idea of how to run the world is the same.
Right. So Klaus Schwab, and so all the other folks become sort of useful idiots in the terms of like Fauci or the head of the CDC or these sorts of heads of these organizations that just get up there and sort of say whatever.
No, it's more structured than that. First of all, I should make clear, I used to work for them. So you'll know this if you bother to read the book. I was a TSSCI federal person who worked for Comey and Brennan and Barack Obama. In fact, Barack Obama elevated me to the national intelligence asset in the book. So I've done all kinds of things all over the world. And I actually may as well, the book comes clean about, I come clean about as little of it as I can come clean about and still tell the story. But if this all sounds crazy, can I read you the opening sentence from General Flynn? Mm-hmm. Michael Flynn wrote the introduction, and he opened it saying, "Through my work as a senior intelligence officer in the world of national security and special operations, I've known about the courageous work Patrick Byrne has been directed to do on behalf of the U.S. government. Most people don't understand the work of national intelligence assets, blah, blah, blah." So General Flynn, three-star general, is confirming, I'm not a guy who's just seen too much Hollywood. I've worked for the government my whole life. Overstock was more or less a cover job, it seemed to me, for 20 years. I mean, I was so heavily working for the government. So I know everything. In fact, in 2006, some people took me to lunch and said, "You've done such nice work for us, Patrick, in this area. Would you be willing to move under another high-speed group will be giving you your orders?" And I said, "Sure." That woman who took me to lunch and asked me that emerged 7 years later as John Brennan's number 2. So I think I was actually working for Brennan since 2006 and never knew it. But I knew all the secrets. And in particular, 2015, 2016, I know all the secrets of the Russia thing and all the secrets of the Hillary thing. They're in the book, or I'll tell you. But
Right, you can tell me. So I was just watching a clip of Bill Maher, who tries, I think. His whole thing, but it's difficult because what these guys do is they go all in early on something like lab leaks versus wet markets or Russiagate and all that kind of stuff. They go all in hard, and ivermectin or whatever it is. They go all in hard, and then they have to kind of slowly extricate themselves from it. And the way they extricate themselves, which Bill Maher will do, is he'll go, look, maybe they didn't prove Russian collusion, but this isn't a nothing burger. There's something there. They just didn't really. They sort of treat it like a murder case where the guy wasn't convicted, but there's plenty of evidence, and he just had a good lawyer.
Right.
That's the way. Now he's walking the street, but if he didn't have all that money to throw at that world-class lawyer, he would be in jail where he belongs.
have you noticed how so much of their persuasive technique on air, the gentleman you mentioned, is along the lines of you don't want to be laughed at for not being in the in-group. Everything with them is, we in the in-group, of course we know this, and of course we know that. We all know that, and the audience all laughs along knowingly.
Yes.
I'm always reminded watching them of a line of Mark Twain. Mark Twain said, it's not what we don't know that hurts us. It's what we know for sure that just ain't so.
Right.
And all their jokes work because they all know all these things for sure. So Bill Maher doesn't even have to really explain anything because we all know this, we all know that. And all these things they think they know are totally bogus. They turn out to be wrong, but they just carry themselves with this arrogance,
Right.
and all good people know. We all agree
Well,
on
they
this
do,
stuff.
and then when it turns out to be wrong, they either never bring it up again or they go, it wasn't totally wrong. There was some stuff in there.
That's why I can't wait till they have to grok what's in this book. What's in this book is such a red pill. It's a little hard going to be a little.
Well, tell me about, let's just go Russian collusion. I'll show you the clip of Bill Maher just so you see. And, he makes a metaphor and gives an example, and it's sort of like, all right, let's see.
I see Nate Silver, really smart guy, says this is their Russiagate. This is a new Russiagate. I would like to take exception to this analogy because this has really obsessed me while I was off this month because Tulsi Gabbard is going after the Democrats. She says Obama is a traitor, basically, who tried to pull off a coup. That's rich. She said President Obama and his national security cabinet members manufactured and politicized intelligence to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup. It's the I know you are one of my defense. But, it has astonished me for quite a while that a lot of people, not just on the right, people sort of in the middle, have been saying for a very long time now that Russiagate was a nothing burger. I think it makes them feel like I was the smart one who said that all along. Russiagate was.
Well, that makes you the
Russiagate was
dumb one,
not
Bill.
a nothing burger. It was a burger. Maybe it wasn't a juicy steak, but it was a burger. I would like to show you one little piece of tape, and then we could talk about it, that I remember, because their contention is that, Putin had no preference in this election. That's why we know this was a conspiracy of Obama. I remember this from Helsinki. They're asking Putin directly in Helsinki.
Now he believes
in an appropriate
Did you want
legal
President
framework.
Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Come on.
All right. So Putin said, yes, I did. All right. So what would
Show
you
the
say
rest.
to that?
I'd say,
Patrick?
show me the next 10 seconds of what Putin said.
Oh,
the first
really?
thing. Yeah, is what I would say.
Oh, well, maybe we'll find that.
Because he doesn't say that. He's not saying that in any substantive sense in the way that Bill Maher does. This is weird.
All right. So Bill says it's not a nothing burger. It's a burger. It's just not a steak.
Okay. I may be the one guy in the country that can say this. For me, this is not a theory. This is memories. I was part of it. I set up the Russian collusion hoax. That's why you have pictures of me dating this good-looking redhead, this Russian spy, alleged Russian spy, Maria Butina.
Yeah.
That's why I have pictures dating her. I was sent by the FBI. The whole Russia thing was being cooked up from July 2015, a year before they say they even became aware of any of this. It was being cooked up July 2015, arguably February 2015, and I was part of it. It's not a theory. And then they had me go from doing that to bribing Hillary Clinton, which I successfully did. So I can promise you, it all started around Thanksgiving of 2015. Barack Obama, John Brennan, and James Comey started a soft coup on the United States. I was part of it.
Now, who started the start of it? Like, whose direction?
Brennan and Obama. Comey's a butt boy. It's Brennan and Obama.
So Brennan's, so Jim Comey seems sort of useful idiot-y.
Yeah.
But Brennan seems pretty diabolical. So why did they start it?
They started it to take over the country. They did two things. They set up a Republican a Russian scandal on the Republicans. So no matter who walked into power was going to come face a Russian scandal.
So it wouldn't matter if it was Trump or not.
Absolutely not.
Mitt Romney would have faced the same thing.
In fact, Maria told me her assignment was to build relations into the Hillary, Cruz, Rubio, or Trump campaign. So whoever won, she had access to. So Cruz, Rubio, or Trump. When she came over here, they were setting this up on Cruz, Rubio, or Trump. On Hillary, they set up a bribe. They had me bribe her $18 million so they could blackmail her. It's a hell of a story in the book. I'll tell it quickly. But
sure.
I can actually explain something if you listen to me for the next 2 minutes. That your viewers will get the last 10 years so clearly. So the details, it's in the book. I was directed to set up Hillary Clinton in a bribe with a bagman from Azerbaijan. My assignment was to get her in a room alone for 10 minutes with the bagman. I achieved that January 16th, 2016. She was in the room, took an $18 million bribe from Azerbaijan. Afterwards, 3 days later, my handlers told me I had to forget the whole thing ever happened. And I said, why? And they said, well, it's all been reanalyzed, Patrick, and we know that Hillary's going to be president in 10 months. Nothing can stop it. And she's going to come in, and the first thing she's going to do is send her goons over to the FBI and say, who investigated Hillary? And we're all going to be destroyed, and our chain of command, and this includes you, Patrick. So you got to forget every second of this happened. Now, this is after we had successfully bribed her. So I thought that was odd. And about 10 days later, I got back together with them to say, I think that's odd. You got 10 months. And they came this time with John Brennan from the CIA, sent his personal representative, an ambassador, to me, along with these FBI agents. And what I was told was, Patrick, and this is word for word, it's in the movie, that I was told that what's really going on is this. At this point, Hillary Clinton, at this point, President Obama, so this is early February 2016, and if you just listen to this line, you will understand the last 10 years. They said, Patrick, at this point, President Obama has his people across the federal bureaucracy, but especially the Department of Justice. Hillary Clinton is going to be president for 8 years, and nothing's going to change that. But while she's president, think of it this way. Think of the information about the bribe you know about is sitting on a Bunsen burner in the DOJ. There's a Bunsen burner, and the bribe information is sitting there. The hand on the Bunsen burner is one of Barack Obama's people. If Hillary's a good girl and defends Obamacare, that flame's going to stay low. If she's a bad girl and thinks for herself, the flame gets turned up. That way, Barack Obama is going to manage Hillary Clinton for 8 years. Then she steps down, and Michelle's going to run. And Patrick, that's the plan. As of 2016, that was the plan. That's exactly what happened. And by the way, I've said all this under oath to the J6 committee that's all under oath to the J6. We bribed Hillary, and then I was told that it was going to be used so Barack Obama could blackmail her for the 8 years she was in prison, in office. And then Michelle was going to run.
You talked to the J6 committee?
Oh, yep. And it's all in the testimony, which is available publicly.
And they didn't want to hear what you had to say.
Oh, they knew all this. That's why they didn't want me. And I shamed them with $50,000 of ads until they finally let me in. And I answered their questions and told them this on the record under oath.
Right. But that's not part of their production deal when they were essentially getting a television producer to put this thing together so they could sort of theatrically trot it out in front of the American public, right?
Correct. In fact, there's something really even funnier about it. It's something that you see, Mike Flynn, who wrote the intro to this, something that tipped him off so much. There's this famous event that you might remember, December 18th, 2020, in the midst of all the scramble about the election. Do you remember how the Oval Office was, that that General Michael Flynn, Sidney Powell, and someone else got kind of snuck into the Oval Office and met with the president for 4 hours. It was in all the papers.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. And when we did that, I'm sorry. Why was I telling you that? Why was it?
We're talking about January 6th.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyway, the January, I was there I was literally in the room for the conversations. The whole January 6th thing was, oh, that's right. And January 6th, when they announced, that's where I was going. When they announced the hearing, and the first days of the hearing, and the first night of the hearing, Liz Cheney and whoever the Democrat was got up and made speeches. And for 10 minutes about how this was an insurrection, all this stuff. When Liz Cheney made her speech, she got up, she said, and she ended it saying, and on the night of December 18th, the Oval Office was penetrated by General Michael Flynn and Sidney Powell and somebody else. And Flynn came in the next morning to see me and said, why can't they even mention your name? And I said, sir, it's because I'm kryptonite to the deep state. And he said, why is that? And I sat and explained it all, and that's what he understands. So this stuff I'm telling you, this isn't a conspiracy theory. Someone could say I'm lying, but I was in the middle of all of it, and what I'm telling you is the truth. This was all set up by Barack Obama to take over the country, whether Hillary won or the Republican won. And it was being set up before Trump even declared, before he came down the escalator, we were setting up the Russian collusion hoax. It was all being set up.
So it would have been applied to any Republican.
Would have found himself facing a Russia. Right.
Russia. It makes sense. And so then you got Soros, and Soros. It's an interesting, just sort of psychological thing. The only thing I can think of as him is wanting chaos for this country. He talks about justice, or he talks about equal rights, or he talks about Black Lives Matter, whatever it is. But it seems like he is just an agent of chaos. And I don't know first off, I don't know, is he 90? Like, when does this end? I know his son is coming to the fore.
94.
But he's 94. These guys never go away for some reason. But, and then where's Obama? Obama comes out and you kind of go, oh, okay, he's kind of moderate and he's kind of this and that. And then every year that goes by, he and Michelle seem more radical to me. And they seem like race hustlers. And they don't seem like they like this country at all.
Well, if you look back 19 years, that they actually did show us that back then. From Michelle saying this is the first time I've ever been proud of my country, the night that Obama got the primary or the nomination, to, just the way Obama talked about these people clutching to their guns and their religion.
Well, he went to Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and basically apologized for us bombing them.
They're like college faculty is where they hate America.
Yes,
Hate
it's become clear to me that they do, even though they say they love America, and then they go on and say what's wrong with America all day, every day.
But they were able to keep it in check, and now that they're older and there's less reason to, it's like they don't mask it as well as they did 20 years ago. But it's always been there. I think that the goal was actually there are some people who would light the world on fire just to watch it burn. What the last 5 years has shown us, there's absolute, I hate to sound like a Bible thumper, but there really are these, you might as well just call them demons. There are people who are just so evil that they don't think like you and I think about, like, basic obligations to the world.
So this goes beyond Obama, but Obama and Brennan's kind of the instigator. And what jeopardy is everybody in now? Because I know you hear rumblings and you feel like Trump is trying to do something, and I don't know, Dan Bongino's trying to do something, Harmeet Dillon's trying to do something, and Pam Bondi's trying to do something, and Jim Jordan's trying to do something. There's like all these kind of people that are kind of making the rounds, and they're saying stuff that seems reasonable and people have kind of heard, but they're not really reacting to, and they're not really capturing the imagination of the public, because so many people are just sort of set and they're dumb and they believe what they believe, and they're getting their 15th COVID booster shot tomorrow. Like,
and
there's a lot of those.
It doesn't seem to be working yet. I just had COVID again. I better get a 16th.
But how much jeopardy is there for Jim Comey and John Brennan and Obama and Hillary Clinton, and it just sort of keeps going. Like, what kind of real jeopardy?
In any normal world, there would be tremendous jeopardy for them. If someone like Mike Flynn were running things, this would have been over by about February 15th, and all of them would have been in handcuffs. What the bad guys have going for them is we still have a very active deep state. The DOJ in particular is stuffed with people that Obama brought in. They have zero respect for the rule of law, and they are absolutely playing the things that are happening now could have happened in the first 30 days of Trump's presidency. He still doesn't understand how much internal resistance he has. It's different than the first term, though. In the first term, there was internal resistance from deep staters who hated him. A lot of that, half of that or more, has been stripped out. Now there's resistance from people who are afraid of being hung. What the Democrats are doing is the law firms that got snipped, those law firms are spending their time writing up indictments for treason and letting people know anyone who cooperates with Trump in this term is going to be hit with treason charges when the next time they're in power. So a lot of people in the DOJ are actually afraid to go along with, just afraid to, because they don't know if they're going to be paying a price for it themselves.
Right, because if there's a changing of the guard in 3 years, then they're going to be drawn up.
But this is a Bolshevik revolution, and we just have to understand we are up against people who have zero commitment. I mean, these are the same people who just did lockdowns and mandatory experimental jabs, violation of the Nuremberg Convention, and the law. Everything. Can we go back a step? And it sounds like you might find really interesting to hear about what a Bezmenov psyop is. It's a way to overthrow a society without firing a shot.
Yeah, he did an interview in the 80s. I think you can see on YouTube somewhere.
Right, and his thinking is still. And it's the idea is that you can, in 4 steps, overthrow a society. You weaken and confuse. You weaken and demoralize them. You disorient and confuse them. Then you shove a crisis down their throat, and then you normalize. And that is, you get everyone to accept what just happened by saying the only way back to normalcy and out of psychosis is to accept what just happened. For us, the demoralization was COVID, the way it was mistreated, the way we couldn't use ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, were made to take these crazy shots. The disorientation was Antifa, and the crisis was the fake election, and then the normalization, that was cancel culture. We were just marched through with military precision. That's why Flynn and I get along so well. He is the he's the professor emeritus of this stuff. We were just marched through with military precision, a psyop to overthrow the country. We were never supposed to get out of it.
Yeah, the part that's scary to me is how many people just willingly go along with it and immediately go along with it. But as I was saying to Dr. Drew the other day, I said, somebody launched a campaign that basically their goal was to say men could be women and women could be men and little girls could be little boys and little boys could compete against little girls in the swimming pool or on the soccer field. And that seems like a Herculean task. Like, that seems like a really difficult thing to push through. Like, who's going to believe this? Like, there are things that we do, like the food pyramid. Food pyramid was a lie and it was bullshit, but it's not that tough a sell. You start saying meat is murder and whole grains and wholesome, heart-healthy grains. You start doing a lot of heart-healthy and grains and whole grains and all that. You do enough of it, and people go, you know what, I'm going to have that bran muffin for breakfast instead of the egg. I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to lose a few pounds. They're heart-healthy. But men can be women and women can be men and little girls can be little boys and so on and so forth, and we'll chop their parts off if we need to and put them on hormone therapy. The fact that we got everyone to more than half the country to go along with this in a really short period of time means we have a very malleable group to deal with, and we can sell them about anything. And as a matter of fact, COVID, lab leak versus wet market, ivermectin, that's nothing compared to selling them that men can be women and women can be men. It was basically sold about the same time, too. So we are very malleable in a super scary, disconcerting way. Like, I was yelling at my fellow Americans during COVID, what the fuck are you people doing? Why are you listening to these people?
I assume you got no jabs?
No. And I was yelling at everybody, what are you doing?
It was so obvious.
I know, and I was calling them pussies and cowards the entire time. And everyone just went right in and then would start attacking me. So
isn't it weird to know that we're living among people like that? And it's like 50, 60% of us are like that weak.
It is, but in a weird way, it's like they're werewolves, but there's almost never a full moon, so we don't really have to worry about it. But if there is a full moon, then we do have to worry about it. But it's not like there's a full moon once a month. There's a full moon like once every 11 years or something, so we don't really think about it. Like, it really, like if you had a teenage son who was a werewolf, and someone was like, yeah, but he's normal in every way until there's a full moon, and then he turns into a werewolf. But you're like, but we don't really have full moons anymore. You'd kind of go like, well, it's weird, but okay. And I think that's kind of what it is. Like, they're nice. Their parents, their moms, their dads, their employees, their coworkers, their neighbors, and they're all good unless shit goes down, and then they turn into lemming pussies who do tons of damage to our society. And I never let them off the hook, and I never stopped calling them pussies, and I never stopped calling them cowards. And that's my job. But
let me give
when
you
the next thing comes down the pike, they're in.
Let me give you one scientific basis for why you might find a little bit to forgive them about. They know. See, that the men can be women stuff. It's not about convincing people. It's about disorienting. It's about inversion. One of the techniques is inverting.
Yes. Oh, they don't think it, and they wouldn't want it for their son.
They just want to get everybody.
They just want to get along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they know also, and this was research started to be done 100 years ago in a place called the Tavistock Institute and after World War I in London. They know that when people are traumatized, you can, once your amygdala, actually, which is your fight or flight part of your brain, once you've been under enough stress for about 2 months, they can start hitting you with repetition, and you will start buying what they tell you. In addition, when your amygdala is firing, you're no longer thinking from your frontal cortex. You're thinking from the fight or flight part of your brain, and you become a lemming. Humans become lemmings. Once they're panicked, it's just like if you're a rescue diver or a lifeguard, you get taught you can't just swim up on somebody who's drowning. They will drown you too. You have to step back and teach them how to get themselves under control. Their frontal cortex isn't working anymore when they're in a panic. And they got us so panicked with COVID and showing us movies of people dropping dead and hospitals filled and all this stuff. They got people panicking and thinking from their amygdala. And when that happens, they become total lemmings. And so I'm sure you had this experience. You could show them all kinds of data up the wazoo about COVID. And they can look at the data and they'll do the exact opposite because they're operating as a lemming.
Yeah, I like to call that chick think, but there's a lot of dudes who got sucked over to that side of the aisle. And so a lot of dudes thinking like chicks. And so
that's a different phenomenon, but with a biological basis,
there's
too.
a big problem going on with chick think.
Absolutely. The less testosterone you have, the more vulnerable you are to social cues. Mm-hmm. And they have now discovered this in men as well. With lower testosterone, they become more. It's about fitting into the group. You ever see hens in a hen peck? They really do have a pecking order, and the hens spend all this energy policing each other on the pecking order rather than just eating the food. There's something in the female psychology that drives them crazy when people are not in the hierarchy and doing what they're supposed to. And that was a major. They know, the communists know that. The Mao harnessed that too. Harnessed that.
Gynofascism, by the way, is what it's called. It's coming. There's articles. I've been sounding the alarm for a long time. I just call it chick think, but it's a problem. It's a problem. I guess it's fine during good times, but it's a problem during war times and COVID times and stressful times, and everyone thinks I'm a misogynist douchebag.
It's documented as a documented psychological effect. And men, as your testosterone drops, you start reacting more like a female.
Yeah, that's why.
Social proof.
That's where Barack Obama and Gavin Newsom and Justin Trudeau get the super deep leg cross. The guys who do the leg cross, every time they do a panel or sit down in front of an audience or do anything, or do a podcast, their legs cross so hard and so chicky that it's a phenomenon, but it's a signaling. It's a presenting almost. And it's another interesting phenomenon that I've been noticing. It's like, since when did guys do the deep leg cross? Well, only guys on the left do it.
Is this a deep leg cross?
No, that's how you would cross your leg. You put your ankle on your kneecap. Oh, no, show me like Obama.
That's a deep leg cross?
No, you don't even.
I don't even know what.
When you see Obama, when you see Justin Trudeau, and when you see Gavin Newsom, just so you guys don't think we're talking about women, we're talking about chick think, which affects plenty of dudes. And they're guys. We had Eric Garcetti, who was the mayor of Los Angeles. That guy thinks like a chick. It's like chick think, panic think, scary think. If one life is lost, that's one too many. That's all chick think. That's not win the war kind of think. That is all chick think. So it's fear-based, dumb chick think. But by the way, Tulsi Gabbard doesn't have it.
Oh, straight.
Right. So and neither historically did Margaret Thatcher didn't have it. I mean, it's not all about the genitalia, but there are plenty of dudes who think that way, and Obama's got it. And we're looking at Obama. I must have stuff.
I'm not sure I even can cross like that.
No, you can't, because you don't think enough like a chick. But he's talking to Prince Harry or Prince Albert or Prince whoever. The point is they all.
I've never seen that.
Oh, you've never seen it?
Never noticed it. No.
You're going to see it everywhere now. Go to Prince William. Whenever these guys get up and they sit with like-minded guys, they signal each other like the gay community with a bandana in their rear pocket. Here's how I cross my legs, and now you know who
we're friends.
You know who we are. I do not pose a threat. Now, when Justin Trudeau does it, he likes to also show off his stylish socks, which is another presentation. Now, Gavin Newsom does. Obama does deep. Gavin Newsom does deep. And then when Trump does is he spreads his knees and he makes a diamond with his thumb and forefingers to accentuate his nutsack, and then puts it in front of his nutsack and sits that way. I am telling you...
Yeah,
I am telling you, he literally will make a diamond out of his hands and put it in front of his nutsack. You'll never see Trump do the deep cross like those guys do. So there is a chick think phenomenon going on. People are starting to pick it up. They're starting to write about it. It's a real thing. And it's a thing in that women think differently than men, and they approach danger differently than men, much differently than me. I don't approach danger the way any woman I've ever been with has ever approached danger. They approach it very differently than I do. And as testosterone goes down and society kind of goes up, it becomes softer and more indoor jobs and less barn raising and sawmills and working the land and moving into air conditioning and cubicles, and also a feminization. Like, you got to go along with this stuff. Like, you better do not compliment a woman on a woman's dress who you work with anymore, or anything close to that. You'll be shunned. Well, then dudes are turning into chicks essentially, and then we're getting policy, and the policy is horrible because it's chicks and dudes who think like chicks. And then there's places like California, which is all chick think, and now we're fucked.
Right.
That's what we got.
You would think at some point part of the think would be waking up and realizing, gee, this isn't working out as we hoped. California, when I first came here 40 years ago, it was the promised land.
Yeah.
And it's not so golden anymore.
Well, so this isn't working out how we've hoped takes a backseat into sort of the immediate acceptance of right now. Like, I need to be liked now.
Yeah.
I'm not on a layaway plan with popularity. I need it today. And so also a lot of guys want to get laid. So they will say whatever the fuck they got to say in the chick think department to see if they can get laid.
That's a big mistake.
It's basically Occupy Wall Street. It's a bunch of there's like 5 dudes there that are really worried about Wall Street, and then the other 95% are guys trying to get laid who show up.
It's a cheap date.
Yeah, douse yourself in patchouli oil and put on your Birkenstocks and get down with the cost so you can get a blowjob. That's another phenomenon.
Sign me up.
Yeah, that people don't fully understand. But this whole feminization thing is a big deal. It's a big problem, and less people think it's a pejorative. Here's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is a balance, and the balance is off. It's not to say that women think in an inferior way. If you have a mom and you have a dad and you're raising kids, then there's her perspective and then there's his perspective, and there's a sort of balance to be struck, and maybe he's going to be a little more tough love and she's going to be a little more nurturing, and it all come out as a sort of balance. But in California, it's not a mom and a dad. It's 3 moms and a neutered dad, and now we're making decisions based on that, and that gets into closing schools for 2 years and lock yourself in your house and double mask.
And
that's where that ends up.
A little boy's a girl, and if you don't like it, then you're taking a boyfriend.
Right. So that is an imbalance.
Isn't Child Protective Service getting into the act out here?
I'm sure. So that's an imbalance, and then you're going to have trouble, and then your society's going to fall apart. So that's what we're dealing with.
You got it. We figured the same things out.
But for you,
it's like I'm looking in a mirror here.
So Obama is they're setting the table for Russian collusion, regardless of Trump or not. Then Trump comes in and they unfurl it. And then Trump wins, and they're going to go back and sort of. So I described it like this, but you can tell me what you think. It's a sort of a thing where you go, there's a coaching job that's open, and you go, I want my guy to be the coach, and I work real hard to get my guy to be the coach of the NFL team, but my guy doesn't get the job. The other guy gets the job. So step 2 is I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure they have a losing season.
Yeah.
And then next time when they're looking for a coach, my guy will get in there. So Obama wants Hillary Clinton in there, but when it turns out it's not his guy, then we move on to losing season. We're going to see if I can hurt the team season.
Yep.
Is that's accurate?
And here we thought we were all on the same team. But these lefties are not on our team at all. They are not on Team America at all.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
So Obama then goes, get me something that says there's some Russian collusion here involved with Trump's election. And there really isn't.
Right.
I mean, when Bill Maher says something burger, what is it? Like if you were making a case for Bill, like if you're being real generous to Bill, what is there?
At this point, in terms of Trump knowingly taking assistance, there's at this point nothing that I can think of. I can tell you what the big juicy explosion is at the core of the Russia hoax, but that nobody's sort of got there yet. So here I was dating this Russian girl, and this is heavy. Oh, you haven't seen it. God, I almost don't want to spoil the surprise. I knew I was working for Obama, Brennan, and Comey, and I knew what they had done, and I knew what they were doing. So I set them up in a little sting. I'm dating this Russian girl. I deliberately told the Russian girl that said there was 2 times we dated. One was very physical, to be honest. The other time, their direction, I told her, this time we're dating. I'm not going to lay a finger on you. You sleep in the guest room and blah, blah, blah. We're going to be real old fashioned. And after 6 months, if you want to marry me, we'll get married. I reported to Brennan and Comey just the opposite. I reported that I had actually drugged her and introduced her to weed, got her totally wasted, questioned her, could find no discrepancies. Brennan, Comey, and Obama were okay with that. So 2 weeks later, I told my handlers, that when I had gotten her drugged and she was blotto, I raped her. And so I put Comey, Brennan, and Obama in the position of if they wanted to go forward, they had with this fake Russia thing we were setting up, they had to sign off on that.
What you told them directly?
I told them that while she was drunk and wasted, they asked me, did you have sex with her? I said, yeah, when she was drunk and passed out.
When you say them, though, not all at the same time in the same room or...
No, it was I was with my 3 handlers, 2 reported to Comey, 1 to Brennan, and they were telling me we're going back and reporting directly on video conference to them. And this is all being done at the request of Obama. So I reported that I drugged her and raped her. 2 weeks later, they came back. And we were green light to continue, which tells me Comey and Brennan and Obama said, we don't care if Byrne has drugged and raped this girl. We got a Russia hoax to set up. You agents overlooked that. So I waited another few weeks and I proposed that I murder her. To their credit, the agents jumped up in my face and threatened to kill me on the spot. They said, if anything happens, we don't care what orders come from D.C. If you harm a hair on this girl's head, we're going to kill you ourselves. But that went back to Brennan and Comey and Obama. And I didn't know for a year. So I created a sting that put them in the position, if they were to continue the Russia hoax, they had to sign off on aggravated rape and murder. And the 3 agents, it turned out, I found out 2 years later, the 3 agents refused to continue. They thought that I had lost my mind and I was going to go through with this, until Barack Obama signed a presidential letter instructing 3 federal agents to overlook their belief that I had drugged, raped, and was planning on murdering a girl so that we could continue setting up a fake Russia hoax. And when I walked in 2018 and laid this all out to the DOJ, they told me, you're in a lot of trouble if this girl doesn't confirm your story. She confirmed. She said, he was the most perfect gentleman to me. I had no idea anyone was like this. I was flying her. He was flying me around in private jets, fancy restaurants, wouldn't lay a finger on me. I was wondering what was. So she confirmed the whole story. But at the heart of this book, the big secret is I tricked Barack Obama into signing off on the rape and murder of Maria Butina. And I'm told it's the biggest secret in the U.S. government. They have focus groups trying to figure out how to spin this when it comes out. Barack Obama and John Brennan signed off on the rape and murder of Maria Butina so that we could continue setting up a completely fake Russia hoax.
And this is what year? Sorry.
That was 2016.
2016.
2015, 2016.
So what, Brennan's been indicted or subpoenaed or whatever. He's getting close.
Yeah.
Are they ever going to get close to Obama?
Yeah, they're going to get Clapper or Comey is going to give up the goods, I would imagine. One of them is going to talk.
So you think Comey or Clapper is going to roll over?
Yeah. Or maybe the guy from NSA. There was a guy from NSA who actually, Rogers, who actually did Trump a big favor. He's the one who went to Trump while in the 2016 campaign and let him know they're spying on you. Obama's spying on you in Trump Tower. He was one of those people near the top is going to roll and is going to be able to give them. Well, I know I think they already have. Everything I've just told you has already been confirmed.
So someone's going to roll or someone has rolled, and that roll will roll into Obama.
Yeah. Obama was at the top of the org chart. Again, I think behind it all is guys like Soros and Schwab, but it was Obama and Brennan. And the other thing to know is I think Obama's Brennan's asset. I think Obama was a CIA asset of Brennan. I think Brennan created Obama. That'd be a good hypothesis.
Wow. All right, can you come back sooner than later and continue this,
Let me know. When you've read the book, I'll come, or seen the movie. Just see the movie, I'll let you know.
I will. Back. Danger Close, name of the book. DocuSeries.
Is Enemy Within, The Enemy Within.
3-part DocuSeries available now on Amazon, Rumble, YouTube TV as well. Patrick, very interesting.
I'll come back. Gary and I will come back maybe, although we don't really like each other. We spent too many months overseas, and we'll tell you about Venezuela.
Is this why there's a flotilla heading toward or outside of Venezuela right now?
You're a sharp guy, Carolla, but I'm not going to say any more than that.
All right, Patrick, thank you. We'll do Rudy and news right after this. Home Chef. Well, the kids are back in school in between drop-offs and homework and picking up socks on the floor. Last thing you want to think about is what's for dinner. That's where Home Chef saves the day. They send fresh, pre-portioned meals right to the door. You just open the box, follow a couple of easy steps, and boom, dinner's done. I make one of their oven-ready chicken dishes. I made one last week. It came out perfect. Crispy, juicy, and didn't destroy my kitchen in the process. Very easy to clean up. Home Chef makes cooking simple, fresh food delivered. Easy recipes and meals that actually taste good. So whether you want a full 30-minute dinner, something oven ready, or even a microwavable meal, Home Chef's got it all. They've got your family menu too, so everyone eats happy. And there's a nice bonus. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 a month on groceries. That's right. Supermarket's so expensive these days. It's Home Chef, right, Dawson?
For a limited time, Home Chef is offering Adams listeners 50% off and free shipping for your first box, plus free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/Adam. That's homechef.com/Adam. For 50% off your first box and free dessert for life. Homechef.com/Adam. Must be an active subscriber to receive free dessert.
Homes.com. Oh, man, some might say. Homes.com is the best home shopping site. Well, maybe because Homes.com's super comprehensive and transparent agent directory. Or maybe it's that Homes.com is the only site that always directly connects you with the listing agent who knows the home the best. Perhaps it's because Homes.com has the most in-depth neighborhood content of any home shopping site that's extensively researched to highlight the personality of each neighborhood. Homes.com goes above and beyond to bring home shoppers the in-depth info they need to find the right home right away. I love these guys. I'm always on their site. It's a hobby of mine. I like checking out houses. Homes.com. We've done your homework.
It's time to check Adam's voicemail.
Hey, Sid. I've been working the TaskRabbit, just doing handyman crap because obviously I have no skills. Anyway, I'm moving this arcade game upstairs for these gay guys, and the other guy, was grabbing the bottom of the thing. I'm grabbing the top of the thing, and I made a top-bottom joke, and nobody got it. It's like, come on, man. There's nothing funny anymore. I'm the top, you're the bottom, or whatever. Come on, it's funny. Fuck off.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
I know, I love that. I love a good top and bottom joke. Yeah.
Great. I wonder what arcade game that guy was talking about.
Oh, Mr. Fister. I don't know. That was the name of my gay bar. All right, Rudy, you got some news?
Let's do it. Pranksters in scary Halloween mask terrified a family member in a hoax that needlessly cost more than 100 hours of police manpower and could have had deadly consequences.
Oh, man.
A 911 caller on October 14th reported that there were 3 masked individuals making threats at her door. A video of the scary Halloween encounter captured on the home's doorbell camera went viral after multiple community tips helped investigators learn the 3 masked people were boys ages 14 to 16 who were 2 sons and a nephew of the prank's perpetrator, a cousin of the victim.
Mike August doesn't make a lot of great points, but he did make a great point the other day, which is you go into the Home Depot and they have like a 11-foot tall werewolf and witchy poos, 12 feet, and it's like massive animatronic stuff that, all I do is I go, God, my family would have never, ever bought any of that shit. But how cool is it being a kid today? But he goes, where do you put it all year?
Yeah.
Like, I know it breaks down. Like, I know you don't have to have a 14-foot werewolf in your garage all year long. Like, it breaks apart, but it's still 11 foot tall. Like, it could break into 3 pieces and go in a box somewhere. But, I mean, by the time you do the whole front yard, that's taking up the entire garage during the off-season. And the off-season is 11 and a half months a year.
Yeah, as a guy who every year at his house would put out a giant Halloween display, it's usually I think we had about 6 those Rubbermaid totes. We had about 6 of those filled, and then we had a couple of things that we just had to stack up in the rafters of the garage because they were too big.
Yeah.
And then if you really want to permanently store them, you just wait until your ex-girlfriend leaves you and takes half of it and doesn't tell you, and then you go out to the garage in October and go, son of a bitch.
She took your Count Chocula?
Yeah.
Wow.
And and that giant wavy, wacky, inflatable arm guy. guy that
She
was
took that?
Jack's skeleton version of that. She took that too.
Wow,
Yeah.
that bitch.
Totally. Buried
But
her ass in
probably
the backyard.
did you a favor, though. Probably.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Because the rest of it, I moved a year later, and the rest of it just went to various neighbors and relatives. But it's a lot.
Yeah. All right, we got the video.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can play here. So I don't get it. It's Halloween time, right? Why was she freaked out about this?
Well, she doesn't know who these people are.
Oh, okay.
Also, if there's anybody outside my house yelling this, aren't you just more laughing than terrified?
I think so.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to have a paintball gun.
Yeah.
Because you have a paintball gun, that'll separate the wheat from the chaff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you could have Freddy Krueger out there, whoever, Jason, but two good, well-placed shots with a paintball gun. If they're 14-year-old boys, they're just running down the street screaming, right?
As we learned, a Rimfire 22, that'll also scare them off.
We did some Rimfire 22. Charlie Sheen, we took a deep dive, Rudy and I did. He was staying at my place last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why this has gone viral. I don't get it, but have a paintball gun nearby, and no one's gonna sue you for shooting with a paint gun when they try to threaten you this way with the Freddy Krueger thing.
There is a new documentary called The Perfect Neighbor. I believe it's on Netflix, about a woman and her neighbors that after months and months of going back and forth, a lot of shouting matches, screaming at the kids, neighbor took a young boy's iPad, and then the mom showed up, banged on the door. Woman shot through the door, ended up killing the woman. And this is a good reason as to why I get like there should be you shouldn't be terrified if you are the homeowner of this. But this is also a good reason why you shouldn't maybe show this documentary to your kids and go, don't go banging on people's doors. I get that it's supposed to be funny and it's a joke, but hey, man, this is how you can end up with one in the chest.
Yeah, we would do the opposite when I was a kid. We'd go streaking. And streaking is sort of the opposite of this, in that there's no hiding behind anything.
Yeah, that's a hell of a Halloween costume.
Yeah, we would do it in the summer months, probably.
Okay, gotcha,
you know, it's a little warmer.
A little warmer, yeah.
Get a little better hang, you know, at night.
A little good blood flow.
But definitely been streaking. Streaking was a thing.
Yeah.
It was popular. They wrote a song about streaking.
What song is that?
The Streak.
That's called The Streak?
Oh, they call him The Streak.
Oh,
Ray
sure.
Stevens.
Oh, sure. Ray Stevens. Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Ray Stevens was the greatest. He's been on the show because he'd have The Streak, and then he'd have Ahab, the Arab, and have all these things. And then his big hit. I still love the commercial because I don't know. Find the Ray Stevens record collection commercial, because the thing that's crazy about it is they'd go, you remember The Streak? Look at it. Here, that slide whistle, you know, and then they'd go into, and Ahab, the Arab, king of, it's most offensive shit. And you remember Guitar Zan, and it's Jungle Band. And then at some point they'd go, and who could forget? Everything is beautiful in its own way. Like he had the craziest, softest, pro-America, pro-religion, whatever hit.
Yeah.
Along with novelty Ahab the Arab stuff. Which is show to range.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't want to see The Streak. I need a commercial. I need the commercial for like Ray Stevens' greatest hits, or something like that.
There were so many of these, like during the late 80s, early 90s. Like they had this. There was Dorf on Golf. There was like great.
This predated that.
Yeah, this was all. There was so many good sort of like infomercials to sell.
But it just cracked me up that Everything is Beautiful was a #1 hit by the guy who brought you Guitar Zan.
Yeah.
We need volume, sorry.
Yeah, I did. With hits like... You moved into a haunted house.
Nah, we need old Ray Stevens. This is like new.
Yeah.
This is what the kids do all the time. They give you the 2007 version of the commercial. We need the '70s version of the Ray Stevens best of. But anyway, all right, you can. Let's see if I got it.
That almost looks like a parody commercial of a Ray Stevens commercial.
Well, that is Ray Stevens.
Yeah.
But they ran best of. Yeah, maybe was that the Streak?
Is that guy still around?
Yeah.
Is he in Branson?
No, he's in Zurich. Yes, he's in Branson.
Ray Stevens has sold millions of comedy records.
Yeah, I did.
You've listened and laughed at him for over 2 decades.
Come and lay here by my side. Till the early morning light.
Now, for the first time, you can see him on home video in 8 of his greatest, funniest hits.
Are you naked?
And you get it all on one hilarious VHS videotape.
But you should have seen the look in her eyes when that squirrel jumped her garters and crossed her thighs, and she jumped to her feet and said, Lord, have mercy on me.
You'll get the Mississippi Squirrel, the Streak,
Oh, yes, they call him the street.
sitting up with the dead,
Uncle Fred just sat right up.
surfing USSR. Santa Claus is watching you.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Help me make it through the night.
It's easy for you to say.
And
Me again, Margaret. They got me, Margaret.
this collection also
didn't put-
includes one of Ray Stevens' most loved
Oh, here we go.
songs.
It's away. And then right into Guitar Sam. All right. That's what I'm saying. A lot of range.
I wonder if there was any kids back in the day that were like, "You don't get it, Dad. This is our music. Guitar Zan is our music, Dad.
They had the Arab is our music. Arab. Yeah.
Oh, man.
He wasn't a great interview.
Really? You don't say. Man, dude, him and Dunham on the road together, that would be where it's at. You get Arab what is the name again?
The puppet.
Yeah, no. You get Ray Stevens.
Ahab the Arab.
Ahab the Ray. I can't. Why can't I say it? God damn it.
The Arab.
Yeah, there we go. You get him and then the Ahmed, the dead terrorist,
Right.
in the same room, man.
Oh, yeah.
Comedy gold. Comedy gold. Bill Gates calls for a strategic pivot in climate change fight from curbing emissions. Bill Gates thinks that climate change is a serious problem, but it won't be the end of civilization. He thinks scientific innovation will curb it, and instead, it's time for a strategic pivot in the global climate fight, from focusing on limiting rising temperatures to fighting poverty and preventing disease.
Yeah. So, look, you're not going to do much in terms of getting China to stop emitting so much CO2 and India and a lot of these other growing nations, but you can have air conditioning and seawalls and stuff like that. I mean, look. Okay, here goes, Rudy. You ready?
Please.
Poor Rudy had to swing by the job site with the caissons in it before we headed to work today. I drove
Loved it.
Rudy into work today. We live in a place where there's earthquakes. So I don't know if you just go climate causes the earth to shake to such a point where buildings come down and are crumbled to the ground. Okay, so we have earthquakes. So we realize we have earthquakes. Whether it's a San Andreas fault, plate tectonics, God, Ray Stevens, whoever causes earthquakes, we cause earthquakes. But we have earthquakes. So then we build accordingly. And we can build structures that can withstand a big earthquake and nobody gets killed because we understand, we have technology, we have engineering, and that's how we build. So we do that. And then there are places like Guatemala where they don't build to withstand earthquakes, and they have a bunch of unreinforced concrete, and then a 7.2 hits Guatemala, and the whole place is level, and there's kids, and they're trapped, and then we can't find people, and we need cadaver-sniffing dogs. That's in Guatemala. 7.2 hits here, nothing happens. Things shake around, fence falls over, parking structure, whatever. That's it. So we just prevent it by building a certain way, and we prevent it. Well, then there's global temperature. So it's Death Valley's 121 degrees. Okay, but we invented air conditioning. I mean, you live in Vegas. You can live in Vegas.
Sure.
You used to not be able to live in Vegas, and now you can live in Vegas because you leave your air-conditioned apartment, you go into the people mover that has air conditioning, and that takes you into the casino at Caesars, and then you walk around the air conditioning there, but it's 114 degrees outside, but you're not outside, you're in air conditioning.
Yeah.
And then you get in your car, and your car has air conditioning. Now, how hot is it in Vegas? Well, it's 119 degrees. How hot is it in Malibu? It's 80 degrees. I got air conditioning. You got air conditioning. We just set both of them for 71 degrees in your car, and that's what it is inside my car. Even if where I live is 50 degrees cooler than where you are, it doesn't matter. So you can build, and we can use technology to counteract this stuff and almost go around it. So they didn't have good seawalls in New Orleans. It's below sea level, and Army Corps of Engineers didn't build the seawalls right, and then the storm came, and then it flooded, and then people died. But then you can rebuild the seawalls so that the storm in the ocean doesn't get above it, and then people don't die. So you're not going to stop the sea, and you're not going to stop earthquakes, and you're not going to stop the sun and the heat, but what you can do is have air conditioning, seawalls, and caissons, and grade beams, and reinforced concrete, and shear walls.
Yeah.
And then it's not a problem. So just do that.
Just do it.
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
But they don't like that because that doesn't involve taking shit away from you. So that's their thing is, well, we'll get people in the Santa Monica area to stop driving internal combustion vehicles. That's not going to do anything. It's called global warming.
Yeah.
Like China and India.
As a guy who has lived in Minnesota most of his life, the thing that comes back is when it gets to be January and we have those cold snaps of, negative 35 and they last for 10 to 15 days. And then you go, man, pretty brutal out there. And they go, that's global warming.
All right.
Why? What do you mean it's global? I thought it's cold outside. But that's the effect of global warming, is that it gets really hot during the summertime, and then it gets I'm like, that's exactly what it's always been. So if it's global warming, would it not be warmer in the wintertime?
Well, here's what I would say to Gavin Newsom and the ones who want to blame the fire on global warming. Okay, it's global warming's fault, but it's the earthquake's fault too. But you build your freeway overpasses to withstand a 8.5, and then it doesn't fall down and kill people. So, all right, there's global warming. I'll sign off on that. So now we got to clear some brush. We got to hire more firefighters. We have to get the equipment up and running. We need to fill the aqueducts, and we need to get one of those planes that Canada has that drops the fire retardant material because of global warming, right?
Yeah.
Your thing is global warming and no water in the aqueducts? That seems like that seems like the Palisades may burn to the ground. That's just me.
Yeah. It seems like as time has gone on, we've figured out ways to outsmart nature. Between dams and windmills, we figured it out.
Well, I mean, air conditioning means you can work and live in places that were not hospitable to human beings year-round.
Yeah.
We can do that.
Yeah. But half of our lives, we've never left 72, but our children have never left 72 degrees.
Plus, you and I were on a job site that was on the ocean today. The houses that were built along that ocean are from the 40s, many of them. Where's the rising sea again? PCH, and I'll point this out because we're going to know it. We're looking at these caissons, these cement poles that are buried in the ground. The ones that were by the highway, PCH, where we were standing, I had to point out to you, I go, it's in the ground. You can't see it, but there it is, just barely sticking up out of the ground. The ones that were 30 feet, 40 feet close to the ocean were up out of the water about 5 feet because that's level, meaning where the highway is, PCH, to where the ocean comes in on high tide is only about a 5-foot difference in height.
Sure.
No water's ever been on PCH.
Yeah.
Water's never been on PCH. It's only 5 feet. It's over the course of, well, they were building houses there, but I don't know, PCH was built there in the teens or the turn of the century. So where is this sea? Where's the rising sea is what I'm asking.
Yeah. Yeah, I see multiple videos of icebergs that are melting, but my ankles are still dry.
Those lots wouldn't go for $6 million.
Yeah.
And after you're done spending the $6 million, the first 2.5 got to go into the foundation. So you're at 8.5 before the first load of 2x4s gets dropped off to build your new house. You're at 8.5. It wouldn't go for that if the seas were going to engulf your home.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, good on Bill. George Clooney reportedly claims that Virginia Giuffre's posthumous memoir claims that he was with, I can't even believe that I'm reading this, Ghislaine Maxwell one-time claimed that she performed oral sex on him.
You know you're good looking when chicks are lying, saying they blew you. Because I got a lot of chicks who blew me. They're like, who?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I have a little something called dignity.
Yeah.
Okay? No.
What is that? A bunch of gray pubes on? No, definitely not Adam Carolla's gray.
No, not as gray. No, I have chicks lying about blowing me.
Yeah.
This is the other direction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this came out in her memoir where Clooney's people came out immediately and said that this story is absolutely BS.
Here's what I want to say about denial of blowjobs in Clooney and why I tend to believe her. I don't know a lot of guys who turn down a blowjob. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So blowjob is sort of like saying, well, I played catch with Peyton Manning. It's like, well, what happened? Well, the ball went in my yard, and then I saw him standing in his yard, so I just picked it up and threw it back to him. Like most guys don't go, no.
Yeah.
I'm not instinctively. Like you're in the park and the basketball goes rolling. You just pick it up and throw it, right? Like it's a guy instinct. Yeah. It's kind of like
little help.
Cars backing up, gonna hit some trash cans. Hands go up. Come on. You got it. You don't know the guy. You stop walking your dog, start waving the guy. There's an Amazon truck backing out of a driveway. You're all hands.
Yeah.
You don't know the guy. Yeah. That's a dude thing.
Yeah, Peyton Manning's got his mouth wide open. You're back helping him back
give me a blowjob.
Yeah, of course.
Need. So she's a good-looking woman, and she's like, "Want a blowjob?" And most guys are like, "Yeah, all right.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?"
Yeah.
So I don't fault a guy. And by the way, the history of the woman doesn't really factor in, like what she up to, how she vote, what are her politics, is she running underage chicks? It's like, hey, blowjob right now, windows closing. Here we go.
Yeah, I would love to see any of these dudes who, walk around in dresses with blue hair, who still have a dick swinging between their legs, and a gal shows up with a MAGA hat, and she's like, hey, BJ?
Blowjob?
Well, what's he going to say? No? Of course
No.
not. Of course he's going to take it.
Under the tent.
Yeah. Yep. Passenger left behind food so
he's
bad.
saying he didn't get the blowjob.
He's saying that they have absolutely no connection whatsoever, that they've never met.
My answer would just be, look, I get a lot of blowjobs. So.
Yeah. A lot. In fact, 4 on the way here today.
If I were him, it'd just be, I get a lot of blowjobs. I can't keep track.
Yeah.
So possibly.
Yeah. Even when I'm not driving, I'm still getting one.
Well, where did she say? She had to say she was at a party. Hey, the whole thing about the blowjob, or about this story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's funny is that they don't get into exactly where that this happened. She did say, let's see, you know what? Really, it only talks about the fact that.
See, here's where I believe it. If she goes, look, Neil Sedaka's a close personal friend.
Yeah.
And he was throwing a party. And I went to a party. It was in Beverly Hills. And next thing I know, George Clooney's in there.
Yeah.
He's a friend of Neil Sedaka. And then we start drinking. And I end up in the bathroom and I give a blowjob. Like that to me might have something other than this sort of, I met him once.
Yeah. Specifics. That's what you need.
But also, when bad people give you a blowjob, I don't feel like that diminishes your worth.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say if I said this. My grandpa, they got a blowjob from Eva Braun. Like, I wouldn't go, he's a Nazi. I'd go, good for him. Hope he dropped a load right in her forehead. Yeah, that one's one's for America. Yeah, like Inglourious Basterds. Right, like I would go good for him.
Yeah.
That's not a...
Sure.
It's like an endearment thing. That's like you're in charge.
Yeah.
Fuck her.
Well, I think to dudes behind closed doors that you don't lose any credibility. But I think if other women find out that you got a blowjob from a certain somebody,
so like I should stop telling everyone Marge Schott gave me a blowjob.
Well, no, actually you gain points, a lot of points with that.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of points. Yeah. Yeah. Now, if it was Jerry Jones, on the other hand, another sports owner, then...
Yeah, well, obviously I don't swing that way.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. See? Yeah, it brings you down. Yeah.
I got a clip that Dr. Drew loved, and I wasn't planning on playing it, but for some reason I'm in the mood.
Oh, I heard you guys cackling earlier today.
Drew was just... I said, I want to play... I had this notion about... Gavin Newsom's all in the news, and he's always in the news now. And I realized my conversation with Gavin Newsom was insane. I had an insane conversation with him. But I realized it's me and my voice and Gavin and his voice. And so people are kind of like, well, you're arguing with Gavin, and Gavin's arguing with you. And so who knows? Let him talk, whatever. And I'll just play the first 30 seconds so you know what it is.
Family members, money put away.
I got, but think about
don't
Adam,
have the kids.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families, have no access to a checking account or an ATM. Things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
And well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
All right, everyone's heard this, and it's always like Adam saying this and Newsom saying that. But I thought if you read this like a transcript, then you would think Newsom was insane. Right now, it's my voice and his voice, and they're familiar, and you're picking a side or what have you. But I said, I need a transcript of this and have actors read it. And you probably should have let me set up, but that's all right. So I was working in the other room. I was over here with Joey, and I said, Joey, can you do some sort of AI thing where it's like you just get a transcript of this argument I had with Newsom, and then we'll have AI or actors or somebody read it, and that way we can hear it more clearly. And he said, well, there's no real AI actor voice. The only one there is Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, well, make Burt Reynolds Gavin Newsom in this scenario, and then make me a chick. I want to be like a sensible NPR chick. So Adam Carolla is going to ask the exact, it's verbatim. It's a transcript of our dialogue, but my voice has now been taken over by an NPR sensible chick, and Gavin Newsom's voice has been taken over by Burt Reynolds. And here's what that sounds like.
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families have no access to a checking account or an ATM, things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
Well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't.
Why do Armenians have them?
But where they end up is a check cashing place.
But I want to know, why those groups? Why do those two groups not have access?
Just happens to be that we can talk about...
Are they flawed?
No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically flawed?
Hardly. Absolutely not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have problems. A lot of whites have these problems.
All right, pause it for a second. So you will realize that Burt Reynolds sounds insane.
Yeah.
In this conversation. Now, Gavin Newsom doesn't because he's arguing with me and people don't like me. But when he's arguing with the sensible NPR chick, now Burt Reynolds sounds nuts. All right. So, and listen, I love it when he just goes, it just is. It's like, why are they at the check cash? That's just that's how it is. Like, oh, thank you, problem solver.
Yeah,
that's why we need more like guys like you in charge who can just bring up a problem and then go, it just is.
It just is.
All right, sorry, we'll continue.
A lot of communities have problems. A lot of whites have these problems.
So it's not just black and Hispanic.
No, but
Well, why did you bring up black and Hispanic?
because the magnitude is ominous.
But why so many of them?
It just happens to be just the magnitude.
That's the way God planned it?
Not at all.
Well, what happened to them?
There are a lot of issues, and communities are struggling.
Why are they struggling?
A lot of different reasons.
Hispanics have been here, blacks have been here longer than we have been here.
Well, we can surmise.
What about Asians? They were put in internment camps.
Yeah. In fact, it all initiated out of San Francisco. The Chinese Exclusion Act came out of progressive San Francisco.
So are they at the check cashing places?
A lot of Asians certainly do.
Oh, so why don't you include them?
Because then the only reason why is the magnitude of the problem.
But there's no way to figure out how that happened.
We could talk about, you know what I'm dealing with? I don't want to have a sociological debate.
Sure. Why would you? Why would you want to do that? Because the person from the Times wouldn't write good things about you if you did that.
No, that's not the case. Because I want to deal with reality.
You want to deal with reality? I can tell you what reality is.
People are struggling. People are suffering. I want to deal with the problems in a pragmatic way.
Why are they struggling and why are they suffering?
We can hold hands and surmise about all these other reasons.
I don't want to do that. I want to know why they're struggling. Why are they struggling?
A lot of folks are struggling because they can't find jobs.
Why blacks and Hispanics?
Across the board, all socioeconomics.
So everybody is struggling?
Everybody is struggling.
So Asians are suffering just as much as blacks?
The face of welfare is not an African-American family.
Oh, so it's Asian, Jewish, it's all of them?
Caucasian.
Okay, we're all struggling.
A lot of folks are struggling.
Okay.
Wow.
Now he seems like an insane person, right?
Yep.
See, if I played me arguing with Gavin Newsom to my mom, she'd go, well, let him finish. You're not letting him talk. He cares about... But if I played her Burt Reynolds and the NPR chick, she'd go, that Burt Reynolds, I never liked him.
Yeah.
He's a nut.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man, this might be the only time I would ever say this, but I'm glad Burt Reynolds is not around to have flipped the tides and just started talking like an insane person, because everybody I love is going nuts. Like, Robert De Niro's now getting that age. I'm like, what's happening to you people?
No, man, Gator would have never gone nuts on us. But Burt Reynolds sounds insane because he brought up a problem and then he has no solutions to it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Can we get an AI version of Margot Robbie and Marge Schott arguing over who wants to blow you less?
Oh.
Yeah.
I would listen to that. Throw Burt Reynolds in.
Yeah, throw him in there, too. Why not?
Well, I got to say this. I now am captivated, and I'm going to lend Burt Reynolds' voice to all Gavin Newsom clips.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I will take my NPR chick and replace my nasally drone because it sounds so much more sensible when she does it.
Where else are they going to go? I don't have a good Burt Reynolds, but I'm just saying that'd be great if you just add that into that conversation.
Yeah, play the first 45 seconds one more time, just because it makes me laugh. And for some reason, the picture, you can go to mcroll.com and see it, but
Half of African Americans in the state of California, roughly half of Latino families have no access to a checking account or an ATM, things we take for granted. They don't have a checking account.
What's wrong with them?
Well, because they don't have the resources to sock those things away.
Why do we have them?
A lot of different reasons, but roughly half those families don't.
Why do Armenians have them?
But where they end up is a check cashing place.
But I want to know, why those groups? Why do those two groups not have access?
Just happens to be that we can talk about...
Are they flawed?
No, they're hardly flawed, but they're struggling.
Genetically flawed?
Hardly. Absolutely not.
Do Asians have this problem?
I mean, a lot of communities have problems. A lot of whites have these problems.
All right.
So it's
all right. So everyone's got problems.
Man, could you imagine if he's on the CB with Snowman giving this conversation and he's like,
God.
dude, I just wanted to get some Coors from Texarkana. Bring it back. Shut your mouth.
Little Enos is giving me the third degree. I'm now in love with... Now, listen. I said I wanted a celebrity to be his voice and celebrity to be my voice. And Joey went, the only AI voice available on the computer is Burt Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, not my first choice, but now I'm in love.
Now you're in love with it.
With Burt Reynolds
Yeah.
as Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, the lack of options is what really drew your heart to it. I love that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And now it's a familiarity thing.
Yeah.
So, That 70s Show wasn't supposed to be called That 70s Show. They just called it that. It was like a working title.
Yeah.
And then after 6 months of development, they're like, we're just going to call it That 70s Show.
Yeah. God's got a great way of working things out, and I feel like his power was
With Burt Reynolds.
with Burt Reynolds, yeah.
And I just wanted generic nice chick who sounded logical, so Burt would sound nuts.
Yeah.
All right. Mike Murphy's going to be in here. He's got a podcast, been on before. Interesting guy. We'll take a quick break. Talk to him right after this. Simply Safe. You ever wonder if your security system's really security? I mean, I just saw a video. An arsonist tries torching a family's house. Simply Safe. Well, it stops it cold right then. Before the flames start, you can hear the monitoring agent on the phone with dispatch. Total pro, not sleeping on the job. Most systems, they wait till someone's already inside. Too late, right? Simply Safe's different. Their AI-powered cameras catch threats before they cross the line. Real agents confront the intruder, yelling over speakers, sounding sirens, making it clear they're being watched and police are coming. That's security before the crime, not after. I trust Simply Safe to protect my home and my family and everything that matters to me. It's Simply Safe. Am I right, Dawson?
Right now, you can save 50% on a Simply Safe home security system at simplysafe.com/Adam. That's simplysafe.com/Adam.
This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring,
You will die in 7 days.
Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
There's something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
The Ace Man's back in Boston at the Wilbur Theater on Thursday, November 6th. Then Friday, November 7th in Buffalo, New York at Electric City. On Saturday, he's down in Duluth, Georgia, appearing with Megyn Kelly at Gas South Arena. Get tickets for these shows and more at adamcarolla.com.
Mike Murphy is in the studio. Mike's got a podcast, Hacks on Tap, co-hosted by David Axelrod. Probably heard of that name. And Mike, I don't know what we call you, a consultant, a pundit. What would be your title, Mike?
Chronically unemployed. No, I was a political consultant for a long time, but I do a little punditry too.
Famously with the Schwarzenegger's campaign, right?
John McCain, 2000.
McCain as well, Jeb Bush, lots of big names on your resume. And then also, more recently, Rick Caruso.
Yeah, Rick's an old friend, and he's, it's the old Corleone thing. They pull me back in. And so I'm helping him figure out what to do.
Yeah, we're doing a town hall with Rick coming up soon. And Rick's an interesting guy. Spent some time with him, hung out on his yacht a little bit when we were at Pebble Beach. That was always nice.
Yeah.
And I like Rick because I like a builder.
Yeah.
And I like builders because I realize like a commercial builder is sort of the opposite of a full-time politician, which is sort of theories, lots of theories and lots of conversations, but no real rubber meeting the road. And I like him because he gets stuff done.
Yeah.
But I have heard complaints about, he's too soft on this and too soft on that. And I'm like, well, he's in L.A. and he's in California. He's trying to get along here. You know, is that a sort of reasonable explanation?
Yeah, I think you got it. I mean, builders are interesting because they're half ruthless pragmatists because you don't get the project built, there is no project.
Right.
And they're kind of artists, too. They see an empty lot. I see an empty lot, maybe a big rat. They see something great if they're a good builder. So Rick knows it's California, and he's kind of, I'd call him a raging centrist. I mean, in his life, he's been a Republican, but kind of an old school Reagan opportunity Republican. He never really liked Trump. And now he's something we haven't seen in California for a while, a Tory Democrat, a more centrist Democrat, which I think has a lot of appeal right now, but we'll find out. But I tell you, I'm a conservative, not a Republican anymore. I worked there 40 years, and I'm to the Trump. I think everything's wrong about him. Rick he's going to disappoint the people who say, oh, now we've got our magic ticket to pretend this is Utah. It's not. Politics, you don't get 51%, you're irrelevant. So he's trying to get the biggest group he can to get stuff done.
Do you think in California with the fires we kind of hit our bottom? Yeah. And when I say bottom, at least a threshold for change, because I've been here my whole life and people have been sort of complaining out loud, like, when are we going to make some kind of change and start to go a little different direction here?
Yeah.
And the popular answer is we haven't bottomed out yet. But I said, maybe the fires were sort of a bottoming out moment.
Well, it was kind of a test of government. The government failed. The leadership. The mayor was in Africa for kind of a ceremonial appearance when the fires were no surprise. You didn't have to be Kreskin to know they're
Well, I'll put it to you this way. Rick Caruso, who I interviewed, said he had his private firefighting crew here days earlier before the fire, putting down fire retardant material on the roofs of his buildings in anticipation of 80-mile-an-hour winds and fire. So Karen Bass was worried about the winds hitting because it would affect her flight to Ghana, and she went to turbulence on the climb out from LAX.
Exactly.
That was her concern about the wind.
Right. And then she flew U.S. government air. We're still trying to figure out how much in the Air Force jet all the way to Kenya and back for that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. No, she was not on a commercial flight.
Oh, she was not?
Oh, no. That was 1-800-TAXPAYER.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Great airline. You get the whole plane to yourself.
Wow.
Yeah. So Rick has a saying, if it's predictable, it's preventable, or at least you can take the edge off it.
Yes.
And that's what he was doing, and it wasn't what she was doing. So, people, we do some focus groups and all that, kind of trying to look at the electorate here, and they want competence. They want to see stuff work. They're not that ideological. They're like, just pick up the trash.
Yeah.
Have fire trucks that aren't in a boneyard because you don't have a fan belt. It's time for results.
Well, no, I agree. And I think the problem with Los Angeles and California, being here my whole life, is it sort of runs itself to a degree that it just sort of runs, and it just sort of, that's it. And people just sort of got along, and it just sort of ran, and it didn't really much matter who was in charge. It was just sun was shining, go down to the beach, and it was cool. And then stuff like fires and homelessness and crime starts showing up, and now people start looking around going, who's in charge?
Right.
Whereas they never really did that in the past. We didn't care.
Yeah.
Richard Reardon or Sam Yorty, we didn't care who was.
That's a pull.
Yeah, it's a deep pull. But I mean, we had like the first black mayor in the city in the 70s.
Right.
For years and years and years, and we didn't even congratulate ourselves. Like, we didn't even care.
Yeah, we were happy with a good mayor. Young Rick Caruso working for him, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he started with Bradley. He's worked for 3 mayors.
Right. So the notion that we're now sort of caught up in the first, female or black female, or the first. That the L.A. had a black mayor in the early 70s.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're talking about 50 plus years ago. Yeah. This place was run by a black man, and nobody cared. And nobody said anything.
He was very popular. I mean,
he was
he
popular.
Broke the glass ceiling. He had a hell of a story.
But it wasn't even a lot. There wasn't even a. I mean, I was young.
Yeah.
But I don't remember a lot of race talk.
Well,
it was just
he wasn't.
We
there,
like him.
Maybe seen just through that prism, like today with Identity. We kind of
right. He was just a good guy. Ran track at UCLA.
Yeah, it was a cop. He had a good resume, and he was a good mayor. I think you're onto something before where we kind of get into the sleepwalking thing.
Yes.
And when there's a real crisis, boy, we could really use competence, and we look around and we don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Then voters, they like changes. I mean, I was just in a focus group full of Democrats, Kamala voters, who were like, we don't dislike Karen, but we've had the experience now. We're looking for something new because stuff isn't working.
Right.
And so I think that's what the mayor's race will be about. And if Rick runs for mayor, he'll have a strong case to make.
Is he going to run for mayor or is he going to run for governor?
He's joking that he needs to decide so he can get some sleep. And he's been traveling the state. So he gets up to the Central Valley and the ag people who have a lot of concerns because we're the massive agriculture state. They're like, you got to run for governor. It's dysfunctional. You go up to Silicon Valley and like, we're the golden goose up here. and we need help. Why is the government something? It's like bad software, you know, from their point of view. It's outmoded, doesn't work. And here in L.A., he walks into a restaurant and people come up and demand. So it's a flattering thing, but it's got to come to an end. And so being a careful guy, results-oriented, he's been listening to people and trying to figure out where he could do the most good.
When would he have to declare major?
You know, I have been avoiding that question like a good politician for a while. But
we could ask him together when we see him.
Yeah. You got him cornered there. And there. I think we're not going to get too deep into the holiday season before knowing which job he's you know, he'll narrow it down to one, and then.
And I think so. To turn back to where we were before. At least this is what L.A. always felt like to me, in California, but L.A. more sort of specifically, which is, in the past, if you said to my mom, who's kind of very progressive, was lifelong Democrat and all that kind of stuff, you said, like, look, who would you rather run Los Angeles? This Rick Caruso guy, he's got a yacht, he's a millionaire, does a lot of developer, or I got this nice woman of color. She would probably not say out loud, but she would probably think to herself, well, it doesn't really matter either way, because who cares? This place just sort of moves along.
Right.
So why not get the woman of color in there? Because I would feel better about voting for her, and it seems like we're more progressive, and that feels like progress to me.
Right.
And the other guy's got an expensive blazer on. He has a yacht. Come on. He's a rich guy. That's not my thing.
Yeah.
So let's get this. And as long as it's all ceremonial and you can go to Ghana and dance and there is no fire, well, then my mom's right.
Yeah.
But when the homeless and the crime and the fire start showing up, then people go, maybe we should get the competent guy in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's no longer hypothetical. I have Murphy's Rule of Politics, which is voters, this happens a lot at the presidential level. Voters like to vote for what they think they did not get the last time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at you got George H.W. Bush, classy guy, world affairs, can't work a supermarket scanner. He doesn't understand us. So we go to the trailer park and get Clinton, who really understands us, maybe a little too well. We go back to the Bush family, get the classy guy. Then we're hearing about strategery and all that. So maybe we need a genius. We'll go get the law professor, Obama. And then red lines nobody pays attention to, a little too weak. We'll get the guy who fired Gilbert Gottfried on The Apprentice, the tough guy. So it's always rotating.
Fired me too, but maybe you thought I was Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, you should have left 100 under the table there. So my point is, they're looking for something different now.
Yeah. And that's good, and it's sad that it takes so long to sort of want something different if something different means competent. But we Googled the response to the question, how expensive was Karen Bass's flight from Ghana to California? And it gives different, I don't know if they're sort of covering for her or not.
It's tricky because it's Air Force, so Freedom of Information Act. But let's put it this way. Uncle Sam was forking at least 35, 40 grand each way, not counting, crew and all that. And the thing had to do at 180. It got there just long enough to think, oh, what the hell, we're coming back. So she didn't fly from here. She flew commercial to Andrews, or to D.C., and then Andrews to Africa and back was U.S. Air Force Air. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Gulfstream, by the way.
Gulfstream.
Yeah. We, probably one or two generations behind, roughing it on an
but what about climate change? Isn't she worried about climate change?
That's another question.
Is she going to end up with Eric Garcetti and Villaraigosa just in the dustbin of whatever? Like, is that what we do with our mayors? It's a bizarre thing to know that you can be the mayor of Los Angeles and be so sort of hapless that you end up doing nothing once you're retired from this job. But none of these people seem to go on to anything, which meant there's nothing going on in the first place.
Yeah, she'll land in nonprofit world or somewhere. I mean, look, I'm not her biggest fan because I live in Los Angeles. But when she was speaker, I worked for Schwarzenegger, ran his first campaign, and I was around. When she was House Speaker, which is about getting 8 people to agree, she wasn't too bad. It's managing a big, complicated machine that she doesn't have the skill set for, and we've now been to that academy now for years.
And so when is she up, and then what's the timeline here?
So the big show here is the June primary next year. And in the governor race, everybody's on one ballot and everybody votes. It's about 65% Democrat, 35% Republican who shows up in June. And the top two, regardless of party, go on to November. Here, you're going to have...
Mayoral.
Yeah, mayoral. Everybody, it's a nonpartisan ballot. You know, have an RD after your name. June, top two, November.
Mm-hmm.
And so similar.
Is she going to run for a second term?
You know, the tom-toms in the political gossip world think she is. And she's, but not announced yet, you know. She's not done the official thing, but the betting is, and, you know, we hear she's gearing up.
Maybe I'm naive, but I can never figure out exactly what they want. Like, I know what Rick Caruso wants, because I want what he wants. He drives around, he seems garbage everywhere and graffiti everywhere,
crazy.
And it drives him nuts.
Yeah.
Like, it drives me
Well, you
nuts.
ever be to the Grove? You can get a stopwatch and, like, drop a handkerchief and stand there.
Someone will-
Rick's got his telescope up in the tower.
Before it hits the ground.
Yeah, it's
someone
like
will
Disney
snatch
World.
it up.
You know, the outfit. Yeah, so that I think it's kind of like a Bond movie when you're a scriptwriter. The master villain thinks they're doing good. She thinks she's not a villain. She thinks she's doing good. And so she thinks it's important we have more of what she's doing. And, you know, it's going to be up to the voters to decide if they want to change.
I mean, I know maybe I'm naive. Like I said, I drive around, I see garbage and graffiti everywhere, and I just go, this drives me nuts. I want this cleaned up. I want this is Los Angeles. It shouldn't look this way. And I know Rick's that way. And then I think, all right, I get, like, I know what he wants. I don't know what she wants. And I'm not even sure why. I felt that way with Kamala. Like, I don't really know. I'm not exactly sure what she wants. I mean, she wants to be in power.
Right.
But beyond that, I don't know what she wants to use that for.
Well, I think she would say, and she probably internalizes it, that I'm running to take care of the little people. You know,
Karen Bass and Kamala, or we just still
I think
on?
both. I think Kamala was, I'm here to stop Trump from running
She
amok.
wants to be a voice for the voiceless.
Yeah, well, not let the billionaires, you're going to hear all this in
Right,
the campaign. Billionaires run wild. You know.
Right.
And we're doing a great job. We just don't, I guarantee you her campaign meetings are, we got to get the meeting out. What a great job we're doing. We're spending $900,000 for each homeless person we house.
Right.
And, you know, she's got a pamphlet that probably has a little different math. We got to get the word out. Well, the problem is the word is out.
Right.
And they don't dislike her. They think she means well. But they've had the experiment now. They've lived with it. So most powerful word in both politics and advertising is new.
New.
And so they're looking for something new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah. You know the jingle. Well, these guys keep your car on the road so you don't end up stuck on the shoulder looking like a dope. Friendly, helpful service. People who actually know their stuff, not just some kid who'd rather be on his phone or is probably looking on his phone when he's talking to you. I've always used O'Reilly. I used them back in the day when I drove a truck, and now I drive an electric car. And I still use O'Reilly because I get a lot of stuff for my race cars from O'Reilly. Thousands of parts and accessories stocked in store and online, so you don't have to panic when the check engine light appears. Need wipers swapped, a brake light out? These pros help you find what you need or look up a shop nearby. If you're not a DIY type, they'll help you out. So whether you're a gearhead or you don't know a lug nut from a donut, they'll walk you through it. No attitude, just real help. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit us at O'ReillyAuto.com/Adam. That's O'Reilly.
This October, Fear is free on Pluto TV with horror movie collections from Paranormal Activity, The Ring,
You will die in 7 days.
Scream, and From Dusk Till Dawn.
This is my kind of place.
And don't miss the man-made nightmares in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein or the world-ending chaos in 28 Days Later.
There's something in the blood.
All the scares, all for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
Yeah, I agree. And I would just like to conduct an experiment where we got someone who was competent to run the city for 10 minutes just to see
what it's like.
See what it's like. Because it's been, you know, Garcetti's an idiot and Villaraigosa's an idiot. And, you know, he failed the bar 5 times and then quit. And like, these are.
He's running for governor now.
He's a sociopath, but he's mostly dumb. But he's also, his name is Tony Villar. It's not Antonio Villaraigosa. His name's Tony Villar. He changed his name, so he's like a sociopath.
Well, it's the Geraldo Rivera, Jim Rivers thing, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't trust anyone to mess
he's
around
going
with
nowhere
it.
in the governor's race. The people are kind of spent on him.
Yeah, and then Newsom's going to run for president, I'm assuming, because everything here's what Newsom is doing. Newsom, it's like you're living with your wife, you're planning on getting divorced, and you're selling the house. And then every weekend you go, hon, I'm going to go out and paint the fascia. And the next day you go, I'm going to go out and resod the lawn. And they go, you never do anything around here. You plan on selling the house? No. No, I just want to get that fascia taken care of.
Need some paint.
Yeah, and I'm going to put a little sod down the next. And it's like, I've been with you for 20 years. You've never left the house. You drink beer on weekends. You don't fix up. No, not selling. Just gonna go ahead and put a fresh coat of paint on that siding. And it's like all he has been doing is running for president and saying he's not running for president, but that's all he's been doing.
Well, he kind of
is
lifted
running
the
for
curtain
president.
this week. He admitted that maybe he can name the top 100 towns in New Hampshire now by memory.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I met with him not long ago, and he's a charming enough guy, and we agree on some electric vehicle stuff. But yeah, let's put it this way: he made a big bet, this Prop 50 thing, and it's highly likely to pass, and that'll give him a little star power in the Democratic Party. So he's not only running, if you had to make a list of the 3 most likely, this early stage where things can change, he'd be on it.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got, now it's funny, in California his numbers aren't great. His job approval is like 51 positive, 48 negative.
Really?
But
positive, though.
Yeah,
I'm
but
surprised.
it's a tie, 50-50 really.
Mm-hmm.
But you get out to the East Coast and the South where all the primaries are going to be, he's new and interesting. They've not seen him before. So he is a real contender. He'll be the new guy.
So I was led to believe that when you go to those places that you just discussed, they're like, don't bring your California shit here. Like, we are a cautionary tale to the rest of the nation. Like, you want to end up like California?
Yeah, in right-of-center world, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
In left-of-center world, often what happens first in America happens in California.
Mm-hmm.
And he makes a good first impression. That's why he's governor. And in South Carolina, probably the most important early state, he's been packing them in. Remember, these are Democrat primary base voters.
Where do you come down? I watch these guys. I watch Newsom, talk about his early days, rough and tumble, hard scrabble upbringing, drinking gin and juice out on the porch with his 64.
That's right.
And I hear about it, and then he gets mercilessly skewed after that. Like, they make fun of him because of Getty Oil and rich parents and had his first winery at 25 and stuff. And then I hear Kamala Harris talking about working at McDonald's, and then turns out she didn't work at McDonald's, and she gets made fun of. And then Mandami, most recently, talking about his aunt and his job and the subway, and then they go after them. And there's sort of countless stories of these people talking about their hard scrabble upbringing, and then they find a picture of them on top of the Eiffel Tower when they're 14 with their mom and their dad. And people go, you went to boarding school in Zurich, Should they just shut up about that stuff? Because the internet's undefeated is what I'm saying, and it just comes out 10 minutes later and they all get mocked.
Right. My advice to all of them now is the best rocket fuel is authenticity.
Yes.
The bullshit meter is so sharp on people now. I mean, everybody's, including me, beat up on Trump. But when Trump says, I want to round up all the Chinamen, maybe he's crazy, but he's being honest. That's what he really thinks. And that is part of his power. So, yeah, I would, candidates tend to have a chip on their shoulder about people are going to hate me because I'm privileged, so I got to find some hook. And talk about, no, people get it. Just be honest with them. I've always told people in debate, it's okay to say, I don't know.
Yeah, and it's also...
you don't have to BS your way through an answer you don't have.
Well, and there's also a kind of a nuanced version of it where you go, yeah, we had more than most. I was lucky, that way.
Yeah.
You know, my dad worked hard, but, you know, he still made sure we had our chores, and I had to pay for my way, and I had a job. You know, I raked leaves, I mowed
We had
lawns.
the values of work.
Yeah,
You
there's a
know, I
way
had the
to
great
do
line
it.
on this. Teddy Kennedy was born to wealth, but hero of the working class, and they cornered him on it. And Kennedy finally said, listen, it's not where you come from, it's who you stand for.
Right.
And that is a good way to get it off you, because a lot of these guys have a story of being lucky in life.
Yeah, and you can say, look, there's a lot of guys born to wealth that OD by the time they're 25.
Right, you know, collect purple Ferraris and turn into assholes, and you know,
Right.
it goes either way.
Yeah, but I would. There's a kind of an interesting phenomenon, which is the internet is so fast and so thorough now that whatever it is you think, it's almost like when cops interrogate you and you sit down, they go, listen, just man to man, like you can tell us.
I'm your friend.
Come on, listen, I've had problems with my old lady too, so I get it.
I've
There's
always
times-
wanted to kill her.
Right, there's times when I felt
So where's
like,
the knife?
Then
Yeah.
they go, you know what, man, I think you can understand. Like it's being
I'm on your
filmed.
side.
It's
Yeah.
being filmed. They know it. They're going to use it.
Yeah.
Get a lawyer and don't say anything. Yeah. Like I think they feel like they're in some environment and
No,
they're going to do it.
It's a deposition. You know, it goes back to Romney's dad, governor of Michigan, who came back from Vietnam and told the local talk show guy there, yeah, it was all they did was give us good news. It was like being brainwashed. Boom. And
Right.
the politics end. That was the end. For him.
Really?
Yeah, you can say it. Now you can say almost anything because we don't have that set of rules anymore. So be authentic.
What's your
Nothing to go below.
Mamdani take?
Well, he's going to win.
He's going to win.
Now, he would be having a bit of a, first of all, the affordability thing is real there. You know, New York's very expensive. And you got all these young professional kids making good money, but they got big college debt and they're pissed off and apartments of fortune and all that. So he tapped into that because he is a good, what we in this racket call political animal. The guy's good on his feet. The other problem is the alternatives were both hated. You know, people hated Adams, screw up mayor, get rid of him, corrupt. And they hated Cuomo as like a sex pest. And, you know, so there were two.
Sex pest.
Yeah, that's a
I like
Begala
that.
phrase that I stole today. We had it on the pod.
That's good.
Yeah, I thought he came up with one there. So the alternatives were horrible.
Right.
If there'd been a attractive alternative, it might have been more of a race. But he's going to win. I think he'll win in the mid to maybe slightly less than mid-50s. And then he's got to do all this, you know, seize the means of production stuff he's promising. Now, he may do the world's greatest pivot. You know, now that I was mayor, I took a week off. I read an economics textbook, and maybe I'm not going to take over the grocery stores and turn the buses into homeless shelters. But we will see. You know, a lot of times the guys who are for this stuff mean it.
Yeah, and I wish it would work. It can't work is kind of the problem because it goes against human nature.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with all this stuff. It would work if humans weren't wired the way they were wired, but it can't work. So then the question is when it doesn't work, do we learn something from that or do we just...
You would think.
You would think,
But
right?
we're not real learners. I mean, we learn for a while. So if he has a bumpy time, he'll go from darling of the left of the Democratic Party to whatever you do, don't let him campaign for me in the midterms would be my guess.
Right.
The other big star will probably be Spamberger, woman running ex-CIA officer in Virginia for governor, is probably going to win, and is a much more moderate Democrat. So
Where's,
the media fight will be which is the story of the party now, the hard left guy or the more moderate one.
Where's, AOC land in all this?
I think she's going to run for president. And
She seems like she's gearing up for that.
And
right?
she's a political athlete too. And there's that Byrne vote out there. But I don't think she'll get nominated, but she'll be a factor. And then you got J.D. Pritzker, who's kind of running the Crusher Lukowski, you know, get in the ring, Trump, I'll rip your ears off.
Right.
And he'll sell a few tickets, but I think you always got to think about the future in campaigns, not is the old Gretzky skate to where the puck will be. If Trump loses the midterms in the House and the guy whose brand is Superman gets a defeat, I think he'll look weaker and older in 27, which is when the presidential thing really starts because all the primaries are at the beginning of 28. And I think it'll be the Democrat who has the best. We're going this way. Change, future, not the best Trump basher will have the advantage. And it's an open question who that'll be. But they're all going to run because they're going to sense the nomination is worth something. So you'll have Shapiro, all those governors.
Does Kamala Harris go again?
She's hinting she will. I don't think it'll end well for her. She has that kind of vibe of we tried it to her. I think they're going to want something shiny and new. And, of course, Gavin will be the Warner Brothers cartoon with the saw going in the circle because he doesn't need 2 Californians.
Right.
That'll be a fight.
Yeah, I mean, Kamala Harris does not seem like the person we want in the new world order of sort of, we're done with the 4-camera sitcom. We want the reality stuff. We want the YouTube stuff. We want the podcast, not the shiny late night show.
We've seen her movie.
Yes.
And if this is about changing the channel away from Trump to something new in a lot of ways, hard for her to fill that slot.
I also don't think she has the wiring for it. We want sort of relaxed and unscripted and authentic and even flawed and self-deprecating, but also can throw a few barbs the other direction. And she seems so up in her own head and sort of, she strikes me as a person that doesn't want you to find out who she really is or what she's really thinking.
Well, she's very guarded. And
is
being
the word.
unguarded may be the change. And also, if Trump is kind of the wild man who may not quite get the details right and may wipe out American soybean industry, maybe the next person will be a little more buttoned down and smart.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it. But she doesn't seem like it. Newsom, there's something wrong with Newsom. He doesn't think clearly. He says a lot of insane things, but I can see where this would work for him. And I don't know, maybe we'll end up with Shapiro or Fetterman or somebody.
Yeah, it's wide open. There's going to be whoever grabs the I'm different and I'm new and I'm authentic thing is rocket fuel behind him. Wes Moore, governor of Maryland, he's kind of an Obama if Obama had a great military record. Mm-hmm. There are a couple out there that have potential. But now we got to run them through the car wash 100 times.
Right.
That's the process. That's the internet.
Hacks on Tap's the name of the pod. You're there. You got David Axelrod as well. And also Facebook, X as well, at Mike Murphy. Well, I think you can spell Mike and Murphy. I don't need to spell that one out. Mike, always good to get caught up with you.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
I want to thank Patrick Byrne for coming in and Rudy PAVICH. I'm going to be tonight at Burbank and Flappers doing a stand-up show, and then Boston, Mass. at the Wilbur Theater, which is a great old theater over there, and then Buffalo, New York, Electric City. You go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows, and until next time, it's Adam Carolla for Patrick Byrne, Mike Murphy, and Rudy PAVICH saying mahalo.